Welcome to today's Explainer. You know, we interact with character design literally every single day, but how often do we actually stop to deconstruct it? Today, we're unpacking the visual storytelling elements that artists use to communicate absolute volumes, all without a single word of dialogue. Let's get right into it.
So think about it. When you're scrolling through a feed or checking out a new animated show, your brain takes just milliseconds to judge a character. First impressions in animation are absolutely everything. An artist has to signal a character's vibe, their intent, and totally dictate our reaction to them almost instantaneously.
Okay, let's dive into this. Meet our subject, the pointing protagonist. Now, before we start breaking down the geometry here, just register your immediate reaction. He radiates this friendly, almost aggressively eager aura, right? It genuinely feels like he's stepping right up to show us something exciting. But listen, that feeling, it is not an accident. It's highly, highly calculated.
Part 1. The Anatomy of Animation Style. We're talking visual structural design.
Here are the distinct anatomical traits we're going to be analyzing today. First up, the exaggerated, expressive eyes. Second, that finely textured, shaded stubble. Third, the prominent, rounded chin. And finally, the bold, clean line weight holding the entire figure together. These four elements really form the structural foundation of his personality.
Start right at the eyes. I mean, they are massively out of proportion, with these stark white spaces that just draw you right into his gaze. Now scan down to the soft, rounded chin, which kind of drops down to create this gentle weight. Notice the curve of the smile and the stubble? It adds a bit of maturity without losing that clean aesthetic. Plus, the whole thing is framed perfectly by a bold line weight that separates him cleanly from his environment.
Exaggeration creates immediate personality and approachability. It's wild, but by enlarging the eyes, the character instantly looks more open and honest. And those are actually traits we're biologically wired to respond favorably to. By softening the chin, the artist completely removes any sharp, aggressive angles from the face. So these specific anatomical exaggerations loudly telegraph a friendly personality to our brains long before a single word is spoken.
Part 2. Decoding the body language. Let's look at dynamic movement in art.
Which brings us to leading lines. These are visible or invisible lines within a composition intentionally designed to guide your eye across the image to a specific focal point. Understanding this concept sets us up perfectly for a psychological analysis of our protagonist's posture.
And this brilliantly illustrates leading lines in action. Look at the alignment here. His arm is raised, the index finger is extended outward, and, this is crucial, his pupils are locked onto the exact same spot his finger is pointing toward. The invisible line drawn by his gaze perfectly aligns with the visible line of his arm. Together, they execute incredibly strong leading lines that literally force our eyes to travel right off the edge of the screen.
What we're witnessing here is action and reaction within a completely static frame. It's almost like a giant puzzle. This specific body language strongly implies a narrative happening just off screen. Because he's looking and pointing, our brains are basically hardwired to want to know what he's looking at. This clever posing trick pulls us right into a shared experience with the character. We aren't just looking at him anymore, we're actually participating in his discovery.
Moving on to Part 3. The Psychology of Color. The Mechanics of Color Theory.
All right, let's break down this palette. On the left, we have our subject elements, the warm, inviting peach skin tones of the character, which are grounded by a dark, heavy navy blue polo shirt. Then on the right, the background elements. It's a completely flat, vibrant blue void, accented only by these very subtle white sparkles. It is a highly calculated game of visual contrast.
Now, you might be wondering, why use a solid blue background instead of, say, a room, an office, or a landscape? Well, the crucial point is isolation. The warm peach of his skin pops dramatically against that cool blue void. Meanwhile, the dark navy of his shirt provides a heavy anchor that separates his body from the bright blue behind him. There is zero visual competition here. Your eyes literally have nowhere to go but to him.
Part 4. The Power of Visual Storytelling. Let's look at the overall impact.
Even the smallest details are working hard here. Take a moment to explicitly notice those tiny, subtle white sparkles floating in the bottom corners of the bright blue background. It seems like a minor afterthought, right? But actually, no way. Those tiny details are absolutely essential. They subconsciously add this sense of polish, a little bit of magic, and enthusiastic energy to the overall mood of the frame, which totally elevates the character's eager expression.
Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer efficiency of the human brain. Think about it.
We have just spent several minutes breaking down exactly how this image works. Yet when you first looked at it, your brain processed the friendly chin, the leading lines, and the popping color contrast in just a fraction of a second. Every single line, every shade of blue, and every pose is a deliberate storytelling choice designed to communicate directly with your subconscious.
Which leaves us with one lingering mystery. The artist used every trick in the book to make us trust this character and follow his gaze, so what exactly is he pointing at just beyond the frame? I hope this explainer leaves you pondering the nature of